Darko Rajakovic just gave us a massive update on the Toronto Raptors' plans moving forward. Obviously, Masai Ujiri completely shook up the roster last season, bringing guys that fit around that Scottie Barnes timeline. And now, Rajakovic reveals what we can expect in terms of the Raptors' moves this offseason, how we're going to approach future NBA draft classes, and essentially a timeline for how long we can expect this Raptors team to be in a rebuild. So, lots of stuff revealed in an interview where Darko Rajakovic spoke in his local language of Serbian. So we're going to go through Google Translate, do some translating what Darko had to say. So without further ado, let's dive into what Darko had to say regarding this situation. As essentially, he came out and said regarding last season that we have a very, very specific season behind us. I've been working as a coach for 27 years. I've been in the NBA for 12, but I've never seen a season like ours. A large number of trades during the season, the injuries that followed, some things happened that took players off the field, off the court. It was a very challenging season, but at the same time, a good opportunity to change a lot of things, to establish a different culture in the team, and to change generations of the franchise. So regarding this interview as well, it's translated from Serbian, so there's going to be some weird sort of Google Translate stuff, but obviously the first thing that's got to address with Darko Rajakovic is how his first season was, and that's an apt description of it. Crazy madness, lots of stuff going on. While there was some losing, there was just some insane storylines. I did end off with a little bit of a tank to close out the year, but I don't think it's the fault of Darko Rajakovic. Basically, in the interview, it was a pretty long interview. A lot was said. I won't quote it all verbatim, but he talked about how he's happy for the experience. He's happy with how the organization has kind of set him up to coach this team, even if they have been losing and stuff. So Darko's happy, content, and he's really happy and proud of the culture that they're setting with the Toronto Raptors. Essentially, bringing guys to, win, loss, draw, whatever's going on. People are happy. People are wanting to show up to work hard, get better, and improve. And that's kind of what you have to do when you're in a rebuilding situation. But Darko went on to say and gave some more details in terms of plans and what's going on. He says, we have a very, very specific, moving on to this one. The point of the whole story is that the team is built around Scottie Barnes. Obviously, translation misspelt that there. But this season, he made it to the All-Star selection. We are building for the future and the backbone of the team around him. And that's what the boys from 22 to 24 years old to do the same. So before we dive in further, essentially Darko's confirming what we're all thinking, not what the Bleacher Report articles, what we're seeing some other people just kind of neglect Scottie Barnes. It feels like once he got injured, he was forgotten from the NBA lexicon. I mean, we've heard stuff, all the draft quotes and things that are coming out saying, oh yeah, this is how they'd fit around Immanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett. We're forgetting that we had an all-star on the team last season, but Darko Rajakovic is confirming that we're building around Scottie Barnes and we're bringing in players that are that between 22 and 24-year-old age range, and that fits who the Raptors are currently drafting. Essentially, he says, we're suddenly rising with the team to think we could fight for the best opponents and be candidates for the playoffs and win the title. This is a process we've entered, aware that nothing can change overnight. We don't want the process to drag on for 4, 5, 6 years. We want it to be a competitive team again in 2 to 3 seasons. So this echoes some of the things Masai Ujiri was saying when he did his postseason presser, things that were coming out, that the Raptors view this retool, rebuild as a 2 to 3 year window. This is not something where the Philadelphia 76ers, Minnesota Timberwolves, these types of teams, Darko even mentioned a couple of them in this, the longer form of this interview. Basically, 2-3 seasons, the Raptors should be expected to be back, into playoff contention, into, upper echelon tiers, right? They want to be back in that championship consideration at that point. We shouldn't be expecting a long and drawn out thing, and that's why we're bringing him. We're interviewing, or we're bringing him for draft workouts. Players that are that 22 to 24-year-old age range rather than the 19 years old, 18 years old, and things like that. This team wants to compete. They want to build, and they have a solid roster where I think that is the right approach. We shouldn't be looking for a complete teardown, a complete mess of things that are happening. But with that said, this also doesn't indicate that this season there are very high hopes for us making a deep playoff run. And there's two sides of it, because there's some people that believe, hey, with Scottie Barnes right now, who's an all-star, IQ, RJ Barrett, these guys brought in, Poeltl back, this squad can compete, can be in the middle of the Eastern Conference next season. Well, the quotes we're hearing from Masai, from now Darko Rajakovic as well, kind of indicates to me that this team is aware they aren't ready just yet. There might be some more moves, there might be some more things going on, and some further quotes, and we'll bring in Cooper Flagg and stuff, from this interview, indicate that this team is 2 years from now really looking to take that leap and take that jump. And then basically that's where Darko Rajakovic essentially is going with this. First of all, they will have to be patient. We are building a team for the future. We need to raise and develop these guys to stay together and united approach for the whole process as a team. So basically, that's what Masai Ujiri, the front office, is saying with Darko. It's a big plan, and Darko said that he's happy the team believes in him. But much will depend in terms of off-season stuff, because obviously Masai Ujiri is going to be making moves in the off-season. Darko revealed kind of the approach to that off-season, what's going on, and who we're selecting, how we're going to play next season stuff. Basically, in this quote, coming out and saying that much will depend on the draft combine, who we sign from free agents, and many aspects will affect all kinds of things. It is definite that we will have to expand the rotation with our lack of width and height. I mean, that's a translation error there. The top shooters on the team, that will be our ideal for this summer, as well as the development of young people and players in the team so we can make progress with them next season. So essentially, Darko Rajakovic is coming out and saying the team needs more size and they need more shooting, and they plan on developing younger pieces. That's the pillars of the Toronto Raptors' approach to this offseason in terms of what's going on. They want to get bigger, they want to get some more shooting, and they want to develop young guys. Three things that make complete sense with our current state, with our current roster construction, everything that's going on. So that's good to hear that that's kind of the approach that the Raptors are taking. And then in regards to sort of future stuff, he said, in regards to this draft and future draft classes, you see, this draft is considered to be one of the weaker ones in the last 10 years. The next two drafts are extremely high quality, with many good players who can contribute a lot and change the franchise. I'm not saying that there are no good players in this draft, but I would say that there's not a big difference between those who are in the top 5, 6, 7 and those who are in the 15th to 20th overall range. The draft is quite even, and the players with similar quality, the positive thing is that we have preserved our position. Yes, our pick went to the Spurs, but that's why we'll have our pick for next season. Everything is relative. It's how you look at these things. So this quote here, given in combination with everything that Darko had to say, regarding, building around this young core group, right? Taking this timeline and stuff, and the fact that they are very, very high in the 2025 and 2026 draft class. And obviously him mentioning 3 years, that's when we're 2-3 years is when we're expecting to be back in the range. That gives some indications that if things, don't go super smoothly at the start of this year, the Raptors could be eyeing the top sort of picks, the top sort of assets in that upcoming NBA draft. And that's where guys like Cooper Flagg, some of the top prospects, that have essentially, I've already made a video on how he would be the perfect kind of fit to the current core of this Toronto Raptors group. I mean, if you're not familiar with Cooper Flagg in terms of what he provides, right? One player of the year, the Gatorade Player of the Year for high school last season, averaged 16, 7, 4, and 2.7 blocks per game. Essentially, what he's able to provide, this is why he won Player of the Year, in the United States last season. At this time of selection, the 6'9", 195 senior wing has led the Eagles to a 31-0 record and a berth in the Chipotle Nationals. Flagg averaged 16, as we just went through his stats, right, and 1.6 steals, and is shooting 54% from the field in 31 games. The 2024 Naismith Player of the Year, Flagg is McDonald's All-American game, member of the Nike Hoop Summit team, Jordan Brand Classic, all of the sort of recognition. He's the number one recruit in the draft. Cooper Flagg is an absolute beast in terms of what he's able to provide, in terms of what he's able to do, in terms of being a prospect to look forward to in future seasons. He's versatile. He's an absolute elite defender. He knocks down threes and just seems like a perfect kind of complementary star to be available in future draft selections. So the fact that the Toronto Raptors are in a spot where they're looking toward the future, they value the 2025 and 2026 draft in a very, very high regard. and essentially that they aren't saying, hey, we're going complete flat out this season to expect to be in the playoffs and championship contenders right now. Don't be surprised, especially if things don't go too hot during this season. The Raptors' master plan is sort of, I don't want to say tank, but really make a push for the Cooper Flags, the top players in the upcoming draft selections, and move in that direction. But let me know what you guys think about this Darko Rajakovic interview. You guys have best thing this far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. I'm signing out. Cheers.